Hey guys, HeavyMetalJusticar here. I thought I'd take some time to revise the spec that I went over in my previous video, my Nightblade spec. I'm still using the same spec, only I'm 3 levels higher now, so I have a couple more points in Nightblade. And I've learned a lot of things questing with the spec over the last 3 levels. I've started fighting ranged a little bit. As I've gotten better with the spec, I've started turning Touch of Darkness here on and off. Now, I went over all this in my previous video, and it does give you a buff to your opening move of Dark Malady, which is right here. But when you're dealing with higher level mobs, that 1,000 damage, or sorry, 1,600 damage, it doesn't matter as much really as the fact that Twilight Force can snare them. So I've been oftentimes pulling ranged, but I still end up fighting in melee. One thing I realized I didn't go over my buffs. It's pretty obvious I'm just using the buffs that I get from the spec, but you can use 2 weapon enchantments. And the 2 I choose to use are Smoldering Blades, which, as you can see, deals 688 fire damage at level 56 over 12 seconds. And then, of course, it stacks and deals extra damage, and then Ebon Blaze, which debuffs him for death damage and does extra damage. These are the 2 I choose to use personally. Then you also have Fell Blades and Hellfire Blades. Of course, the only bard buff that I get is Anthem of Glory and Fanfare of Vigor. I wouldn't mind having the one that increases movement speed, but I didn't want to put the extra points on bard to get it. It's where's it at? Right here. I could put 4 more points on bard to get Anthem of Competence, which actually probably increases your DPS because, hey, if you're able to move faster as a meleeer, you can get to the targets faster. But you know what? Really, something I've found DPSing as Nightblade is that pretty much all my moves can hit ranged except for Primal Strike and Dusk Strike. So I think the remainder of my points are not going to go on Bard. The remainder of my points are actually going to go on Nightblade. I'm really looking forward to getting Blazing Path. That looks good. But anyway, other buffs, of course, Curative Engine I went over, and Fanfare of Vigor. Now, mostly I made this video to clarify that though I described this spec as a melee spec in my original video, it's totally viable as ranged and or melee. You're not going to do as much damage as ranged because you're not going to have access to Dusk Strike or Primal Strike. It's pretty much just going to be rotating between Fiery Spike and Twilight Force here and there, and then of course Flame Thrust as your finisher. But I finished off a few mobs here and there under circumstances where I had to fight ranged. Either way, what I'm saying is that this spec that I've been going over is totally viable to, hey, open as ranged and then close into melee. By the time you hit Scourge of Darkness as your first finisher, of course, usually they're in melee range. Something else I wanted to go over that I've learned playing this spec. As I mentioned earlier, and as of course it's obvious, Scourge of Darkness and Dusk to Dawn both have a 30-second cooldown. They're not going to be available every fight. This spec does a lot of damage, and you can take mobs down fast enough that usually Scourge of Darkness and Dusk to Dawn are only up once every other mob pull. What I've resorted to doing is using Living Flame here on the other fights in between. Now, of course, Living Flame is AoE damage, but I found when you enter a fight and you have Scourge of Darkness and Dusk to Dawn and they're down, you can't use them, it takes significantly longer to kill the mobs. Living Flame only has a 1-minute cooldown. It's perfect to go in between when these 2 are in cooldown. And sure, it's an AoE, but you know what? It's only got a 1-minute cooldown. You can blow it fighting one mob, and say you end up pulling an AoE pull next, it'll be up soon. So what I do is I'll pull using Scourge of Darkness and Dusk to Dawn with my, my opening finisher and my opening combo builder, and the next pull when these 2 are down, I'll open with Living Flame to give myself that damage buff I'm missing from these, and it really equalizes things out. that's pretty much what I wanted to say in this video. I really wanted to go over this spec again because I'm still using it and it still works like a charm. It's great for leveling. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did in my original video. I'm going to go to part 2 and I'm going to show you how this works in practice. I'm going to start opening ranged. I'm going to use Living Flame when Scourge of Darkness and Dusk to Dawn are down. And you'll see pretty quick kills. Low uptime, fast kills, high DPS. You know, that's what gets you leveled fast.
Inside you, inside father's son, cause he's a phantom, a mystery, and that leaves me nothing. Many times if you wanted to die, it's too late for me. All you have to do is get rid of me. You get to California with a monopoly die. Get to California with a monopoly die. You can't see California with the monopoly eyes. It's all in your head. It's all in my head. It's all in your head. Yeah. I tried to lie to me for so long. Everywhere I go, there's a sense of it. Pick up my antics and give me a choice. Doesn't matter if I give a shit a shot. That you gave me, you get to California with a monopoly eyes. Get to California with a monopoly eyes. You can't see California with a monopoly eyes. It's all in your head. It's all in my head. It's all in your head. Yeah. Up in me, kneel down and clear the stone of leaves. I wander out where you can't see. Inside my shell I wait and bleed. I felt the air rise up in me, kneel down and clear the stone of leaves. I wander out where you can't see. Inside my shell I wait and bleed. Goodbye, a woman of my town, the night is but of this time. Everything is turning bad for me. My ears are running cold, the air is setting straight on. This is not the way I picture me. I can't control my shakes. How the hell did I get here? Something about this so very wrong. I have to laugh out loud. I wish I didn't like this. Is it a dream or a memory? I felt the air rise up in me. Kneel down, clear the stone of mist. I wander out where you can't see. Inside my shell I wait and bleed. Get out of my I guess I don't need this. Why didn't I say this? But I'm a pixel man, so where you gonna take? I am still by just making my mind up and taking your breath away. I felt the air rise up in me. Kneel down, clear the stone of me. I wander out where you can't see. Inside my shell I wait and bleed. I felt the air rise up in me. Kneel down, clear the stone of me. I wander out where you can't see. Inside my shell I wait and bleed. Goodbye. You haven't learned a thing. I haven't changed a thing.